The power of scarcity and marketing is our topic today. So we brought on industry expert Mindy Weinstein. Mindy is an author. The name of her book is The Power of Scarcity. And she also is the founder of a digital marketing firm entitled Market Mind Shift. Plus, on top of all this awesome marketing stuff, she also has her PhD in psychology. So she can now figure out how all of us think and work to make us buy all this stuff. So without further ado, Mindy, welcome to the Fitness Business Podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me today.
Well, quite a resume. You're an author, a founder, a doctor. You should be very proud of yourself. That's amazing.
Oh,
Congratulations.
thank you. I keep busy. You saying all that, I'm like, wow, that's yeah, no wonder I feel so tired.
It's funny because most of our, I should say all of our guests are very accomplished on the Fitness Business Podcast. And every once in a while, I get done my interview and I walk away and I'm like, what am I doing with my life? I need to do more. I need to build my resume. Well, we've got a cool topic today. We've talked about marketing many, many times here on the Fitness Business Podcast, but you're going to talk about the power of scarcity in marketing. I feel like this topic is very relevant and relatable both to the business owner and the consumer. Would you agree with me on that?
I would. And I mean, I would just like to right away just define some things for you because, as I was working on this book, it was really interesting because when I would tell people that, oh, I'm working on a book about scarcity and how it's used in marketing and in the business aspect, I would get a lot of reactions of people that are like, oh, are you just talking about like those emails I get that say, selling out fast or buy now? Those are so annoying. I mean, that's usually the first thing that I hear. But really, scarcity is not just that. I mean, those are a couple examples, but it's so much deeper than that. And there's so many different types of scarcity. And as I was researching this topic, it's what got me so interested in it. I thought this is so multi-layered. It's like peeling back an onion. When you think you're done and you're almost to the center, like there's even more to learn. And so with that, just if you don't mind, I'll tell you even why scarcity. Like, why did I study scarcity and write about this? Well, when I was working on my PhD, I have a marketing background, but my PhD's in psychology. And I love how you worded it. Yes, I did want to understand a little bit better what motivates people. I'm not going to lie. That was a big, huge factor for me pursuing that degree. But with my dissertation, I knew I wanted to focus on something that was related to what drives people, what influences us. And as I was studying that, I realized that out of all the influence factors, scarcity is really the strongest because it's primal. When you think back to our early ancestors, they faced scarcity. They had scarce resources, they were trying to survive, and our brains are therefore hardwired to try to overcome scarcity. And we can talk about how the brain works in just a little bit. So when I think about scarcity and how all this works, it's really unavailability. I mean, that's the basic definition. So when I'm saying it, I'm not talking about the economics of scarcity. I am talking about the psychological perception that something is unavailable or hard to get. So with that, there are 4 different types of scarcity that are used in marketing today. There is demand-related scarcity. So that's where you'll see things like most popular or selling out due to high demand. Then you'll see things, and so totally popularity. I mean, just think that demand, popularity. Then there's supply related, and that could be a distribution shortage, but it could also be an intentional restriction. And we see that in services, and we also see that in certain markets of goods, like luxury products. They purposely limit what they have. And then you have a limited edition, which is actually part of supply related, but that's just a twist on the original, but it's still scarce because there's only so many of those limited edition products or service bundles. And then finally you have time related. And I feel like that's the one that, I give those examples like, buy now. I mean, that's time related scarcity. So it's a restriction on time and we are competing with the clock when it comes to that. So a lot of different brands use scarcity. And some use it effectively and some don't. So it's just really important to understand the different types.
So you mentioned there that in some cases or many cases, scarcity does work. So, how does a business kind of separate it from, oh, the Peter cried wolf, because you're using it constantly and all the time, to being genuine about it?
Yeah, and so that's the key. So what you just said about being genuine, and that is something that I really try to preach with all of this. So let's look at some different examples, and then kind of dissect it from there. I think one of the brands that we all know that is really good when it comes to scarcity marketing is McDonald's. And McDonald's, okay, we could go down different roads on what we think about McDonald's, but they come out with a lot of limited editions and limited time offerings. They came out with their adult Happy Meal. I don't know if anyone tried to get into that frenzy not that long ago, but they came out with this adult Happy Meal. People don't know what it is. And it had toys that were more like throwbacks, nostalgic, like reminds us from our childhood. Those sold out right away. There was lines of people trying to get them. I happened to be at McDonald's with my boys, and I don't even like I would never order Happy Meal, but I actually tried to order one of these adult Happy Meals, and I was told that, "Oh, well, we don't have any more toys left." I'm like, "Oh, that's okay. I'll just take it without the toy." And they told me no. Like, what am I gonna do? But then I went on eBay and realized people were even selling the boxes that they came in. They were selling the toys for thousands of dollars, and they were actually moving on there, but limited edition, but also limited time. So they combined it together. And I interviewed the former vice president of global marketing for McDonald's. He'd been with the company for 40 years. And he talked about the fact that they would use scarcity like that to create excitement and to create fun with customers. I mean, they can have those products year round or there's offerings, but instead it's just periodic. So it gets people talking about it and it's fun for them. But then there's other companies that use a scarcity to really build community. And I think about that very much in anything that's like membership oriented, because those are communities in and of themselves. And when it comes to like memberships, if it's exclusive and you really try to make people feel special as being part of this club or part of membership, well, that is actually supply related scarcity because it's exclusive and it speaks to a certain person. And then, I mean, time related, that's one, again, we know pretty well. I mentioned the limited time offering with McDonald's, but we see countdown timers on websites. Think about Amazon. I mean, they, especially during Cyber Monday, Black Friday, you can see countdowns on their lightning deals. All of those are examples of scarcity. But if you keep using the same type of scarcity over and over and over again, so let's say that you do a promotion, which would actually be a time related scarcity approach. If you keep doing a promotion all the time, what's going to happen is after a while, your customers are going to just value your product or your service at what the discounted amount is, because that is what you positioned it as. So you have to mix things up. And that's what's so great about scarcity marketing is that there's different types. So, I mean, you could do some things that are an exclusive event, and that's supply related. You could do a promotion and that's time related. I mean, you could do all these different things. You can show best selling, packages. That's demand related. So there's different things. You can mix it up. And what's really great about so many of these things, you can tell I get really excited about scarcity is that it doesn't cost a lot of money. A lot of things are just rewording, I mean, an exclusive event, yeah, that's going to cost you some money, but just rewording like this is our most popular package, that doesn't cost you money. And that's showing demand related scarcity.
All right. So, what do you think? Which generation falls for scarcity marketing the most? Do you have any idea?
So it's actually more age based than anything else. So we have seen through research that, I mean, as early as 6 years old, we've seen research that shows that we fall for scarcity. I mean, it's amazing. But then as you age and you get closer to retirement years, scarcity approaches and tactics don't work as well with you, because at that point in your life, you're loyal to certain brands and products. And so you're like, so that's selling out. Like, I don't care about that brand because this is the brand I use. And so it's really, that's the big thing. I will tell you, however, we know through research that when it comes to trying to reach, millennials and Gen Z, they tend to be drawn to supply related scarcity because the thing is with supply related scarcity, there's only so much to go around. And so when someone gets something that's hard to get, they feel special and unique, and it's a form of self expression. So it's really big for people who have a need for uniqueness. And they'll be posting about it on social. They'll be like showing things off to their friends. And so that type of scarcity definitely speaks to that group.
So even though you have your doctorate in psychology and you're the founder of a digital marketing firm, I do believe that you fell trap to the scarcity tactic over a 40-ounce, I'll say, water bottle or
Yes.
beverage holder. Let's hear that story. Oh, there it is. For
So,
FDP family, for all of you that can't see it, she's now holding it up. But just quickly tell us
oh gosh.
how
Yeah.
you fell for it, and you're an expert at it.
I didn't know you were going to call me out on that one. No, just kidding. No, I'm the first to admit. So to me, it actually shows then how powerful scarcity is. So yeah, I've studied it for years, did my own research. I had studies that were published. I write about it. I teach about it. I'm a marketer and I still fall for things. And so what I just picked up was the Stanley 40-ounce quencher. And what was so ironic about it is I was at a friend's house for dinner and I said, "Oh, what a neat cup. It's 40 ounces. I mean, this thing is huge with the lid, a straw, and everything." And she goes, "Oh, you didn't hear about it? I'm so surprised. They're hard to get. They keep running out." So of course, now I want one. I didn't believe her, but I went online. I'm like, "Oh, sure enough, they're running out." I don't even know if I should admit this on record, but I'm going to admit it. Anyway, I actually signed up to get text alerts for when they got restocked. I was in class. So I had a class in session and I get the text message that it's back in stock, but the students were working on a group exercise. So I was like, I guess I might as well buy my Stanley cup right now. But yeah, you can still fall for it. Now, I feel very hydrated. I drink 40 ounces of water like multiple times a day because I'm carrying this huge cup around.
I'm going to ask you, was it worth it?
Well, I have to justify it now to myself, right? So my husband's listening. It was totally worth it.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but
No,
I
I
thought that
love it.
would be a good story. So,
Yep.
all right, Doc, now we're going to put your doctorate degree to the test here on this question. And that is, what's actually happening to the brain when a consumer experiences scarcity, such as yourself?
So this is really what drew my attention to this topic because as I was starting to dig into research, I realized that it's not just, us talking about, oh, there was a focus group and this is the reaction to scarcity, or there was a questionnaire or a survey, not discounting those research types because you can get some great information. But there have been studies done that use MRI scans. So actually looking at the brain. And there's two different studies that I want to mention to you because it really shows how our brains are really, again, hardwired to overcome scarcity. So there was one study that was done, and what it was looking at was really the decision-making process when faced with scarcity. And I'm not talking about faced with scarcity like water or food is being withheld or the fear of that. I'm talking about an auction simulation, things like that. And it was found in the study that when faced with a scarcity situation, the part of the brain that involves decision making started lighting up right away. And it also showed with the activity in the brain that the normal steps that would have been taken in the decision making process were just skipped, which means that scarcity led to a quick decision, or as I like to put it, a mental shortcut. And so our brain, because again, we are conditioned to not have to face scarcity, it was, this is scarce, I need this, I'm not going to take into account any other information. And that was part of it too, is that the way the activity in the brain was working is that the other information that didn't support the decision was ignored. So fascinating. But then the other scans that I want to talk about, this really involved value. And so same thing, brought in participants who were faced with a scarcity condition, again, a product, and the researchers watched the brain activity. Now, in that particular study, what they saw is that the part of the brain involved in the valuation process lit up right away, meaning there was a lot of activity. And the conclusion from the study is that when we see something that is scarce, we actually pretty much do an equation in our brains. Scarce equals value. Scarcity leads to higher value. And you see that even in the secondary market. So it doesn't seem like a huge argument, but the fact that the brain is acting this way, it shows how strong of an influence scarcity has on us. And again, those two studies, that's really what opened my eyes. I thought, oh my gosh, this is just crazy, to how our brains operate.
So, the fear of missing out, also known as FOMO, can be very powerful and very real. So, if FOMO truly is a real thing, how can we use the fear of missing out to get people to join gyms or buy personal training in our clubs?
Yeah, no, I love that question. So, just so everyone knows too, FOMO, I mean, that's the buzzword, that's used to describe this concept, but it's actually based on a deeper psychological principle known as loss aversion, which we are again, the way we're made up as humans is we are very averse to any kind of loss. We want to take steps to avoid a loss. And so we have seen through research that if you frame a message a certain way, showing that it's a potential loss versus a potential gain, that there will actually be a stronger response because people want to overcome any kind of loss. And so, in the sense of, let's say, marketing, gym memberships or personal training, one of the simple things to do, and some companies do this, and they don't even realize that they're actually applying a principle to really bring in loss aversion, showing how much the price is right now for membership at this particular promotion and what it will be when the promotion ends, putting them side by side shows loss and the potential of missing out on this deal. Not having what the future amount is, then the person just looking at this is like, oh, this is great. It's potential gain, but you have to position it as a potential loss. You can have this great pricing, but this is what it's going to be after if you don't, sign up or things like that. So, I mean, with either of those, whether it was personal training or just membership services, show what it is now and what it will be after.
Okay, good advice. Well, people often talk about choice anxiety these days. And one of the reasons scarcity might be so effective is that it can help narrow down these choices. It seems easier to choose a certain purchase if we know there is a limited supply or if it's available for a limited time. As consumers, do you think we value freedom of choice or do we really want the choices to be made for us?
Well, we would say that we value the freedom of choice, but that is not what our brains want. We're bombarded with information, and our brains today are always looking for mental shortcuts. And I'm not just throwing out a blanket statement. I mean, this is proven in research. And so, because of that, that is another reason why scarcity messages are so strong and powerful. And think of it this way, too. Let's say that you're at the store, the grocery store, you're buying a product you haven't bought before, so it's a category you're not familiar with. If you go to the store and you're looking at the brands and the price is similar, the particular item that there might be only one or two left in that brand versus the others, you're going to pick that one because your brain takes a mental shortcut. And it's like, that's the choice that I'm going to make because that many people can't be wrong. That many people wouldn't be buying that product. So that's just more hypothetical, but I will tell you, I talked to the founder of 1-800-Flowers. And so I know it's a completely different business, but still this principle I'm about to tell you or this example would apply, to those listening here. And what they do on their website, they have all these different arrangements. It can be very overwhelming knowing what to purchase. And so 1-800-Flowers, they will mark on there which arrangement is most popular and or bestseller. Doesn't cost them anything to just add that label, but during my interview what was explained to me is then that increases the purchase of that arrangement. And they said they do it to really help people. Someone doesn't know what to buy, like this one's popular. So same thing if there's a certain type of level of service or a membership, just saying this is the most popular one, more and more people will pick that. And there's been other research studies that have shown it, like showing that there's like a particular dish on the menu at a restaurant and you put most popular, well, that's going to be the one that people choose because we like to say that we value freedom of choice, like I started, but we still want our choices to be a lot easier for us.
Well, I think you read my mind because I was going to ask you exactly that, like how you felt. And we'll use gyms, for
Mhm.
instance, and memberships that if there's three different offerings, if they did highlight one out of the three as the most popular, most often chose, what does that do to the brain? What does that tell the consumer? Do they even look at the other two if it's already kind of pointed out, like you feel like there's this lighted arrow pointing at like this is the one, choose this one.
It is almost like the lighted arrows, yeah, pointing to it because that's also a form of social proof. So it's showing high demand is what it's doing. Like this is the one that's in demand, but it's also social proof showing that people choose this one. So you don't might not just be looking at the different options going, "Oh, I choose this one because a lot of it's subconscious. You just will look at that list and be like, "Oh, I want this one." Again, that many people can't be wrong choosing that particular package or that membership.
Good. Well, follow the people, right? They
Follow the people.
must be right.
It must be.
Well, Mindy, thank you so much. We could talk about this for, I think, another hour, but unfortunately, our time is up. But you delivered so much great information that I know our FBP family is going to be very grateful for. So let me just say, on behalf of all of them, as well as the staff at the Fitness Business Podcast, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come on and to speak with all of us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.